much. We are too much. Sheon, you see? Are you feeling lost here today?
Yes, I am. And when you said I was your co-host, I thought I was a bodyguard, actually.
No, you're my co-host.
Okay.
You're my co-host today.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's such an honor to be here, to be in very good company. And as Auntie Adesuwa said earlier, we really apologize for starting late. Please give yourselves a round of applause for coming right on time, braving through Lagos traffic and coming here right on time. We really appreciate you. Well, today we're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to be learning a lot. I'm here to learn and to listen to a lot of great minds speak. So without further ado, we're going to get on with the program. About the story, I first met Auntie Adesuwa some years ago. I interviewed her on my radio show, and you know how it is on radio, you call people by their first names. So the first few times on air, I'd said Adesuwa, Adesuwa, Adesuwa. And at some point when we went off air, she looked at me and said, "Young man, look at me where? They called me Auntie Adesuwa." And I was confused. I thought for a second, we don't say auntie on radio, so how do I do this? And then she said, "Well, you can call me AO for short." And I thought, okay, Auntie AO. So since then, it's been Auntie AO. And earlier we said ladies and gentlemen, but I think that's wrong. Because going by the number of women here, it's just ladies. So ladies, please put your hands together for yourselves.
Come, let's check this guy out. Are you a woman or a man?
Well, today I feel connected. I feel like we're one and the same.
No. Don't feel. What are you, male or female?
We're all one. We're all one and the same.
I don't trust this world, though. Nowadays, you can't be sure he's man or woman, Abi. You know, the truth is, with the reason today's woman and I are supporting this whole initiative is because that's my constituency. For those of you who were here last year, you would know. It's my constituency, but it's not my baby. WIJ is not my baby. I wish I had done it, but it's actually a young man called Nwogwugwu, who once again this year, he hasn't slept for like maybe 4 or 5 days. You know how it is, you start this event, you are begging everybody for money, then some people will tell you come, some people will tell you go. Eventually, you will find some small money. So I must, first of all, before he thanks them, I must thank FCMB, Access Bank, Stanbic IBTC. You know, the only 3 banks, and they ask for your money, all these people. Oh. The only 3 banks that said, okay, we believe in what you're doing, we'll stop. I thank them for coming, because really it's not about us making money. It's about us making you come here for free to get all the inspiration and knowledge that can help you be better. Our concern this year is about the digital world. I was pulled in there screaming, you know, how to tweet, that's my online content right there. Oma, stand to be recognized. You have to stand. So everything that's happening here, I'm joining in that world. We are tweeting, we are Facebooking, we are, what are the other things they do? Instagramming, and something else. Very reluctantly, but I had to do it because that's what people are speaking. However, what concerns me about this area is the fact that it's just all out there. Where's the truth? Where's the objectivity? That's why our keynote speaker today is somebody who knows a lot about truth and objectivity. And all our speakers are going to help you identify what the challenges are in that area. But I must continue by inviting, first of all, Yomi Owokwe, the man who actually is the convener of this conference.
Distinguished guests, our guest of honor, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Apologies have been made on my behalf, but I also want to make some apologies as well for starting late. We had a number of technical issues which we are still trying to resolve. I want to also thank all the people who have helped to make this program work today, and everyone who has actively been involved with us, those who have believed in our dream not just to improve the lot of women journalists, but to make journalism in general better in Nigeria and also in Africa. You will agree with me that our sources of news, usually, your first source of news in the morning would probably be CNN, Sky News, Al Jazeera, and the rest of them. And that is also their own first source of news. So even if they want to report on Nigeria or on activities happening in Nigeria, they would rather send international correspondents to come here to do it. But I know that there are people here who can actually take that, the roles of international correspondents and report on Nigeria, because nobody can report Nigeria the way that we can. And I also know that when we do reports about Nigeria, we're not complimentary about our country. So it's not like we would be mouthpieces for the government. So I think it is time, we have come of age, and I think it is time that the international media organizations begin to give Nigerian journalists that opportunity to report on their behalf. That is one of the reasons why we're putting programs like this together, to enhance these opportunities for Nigerian journalists and also for African journalists, and also to improve the ethics in journalism, especially in the digital age where anybody can say that they are now journalists. I've written out a few things that I just want to say over the next 2 to 3 minutes, and hopefully you should also be reading that in the brochure as well. Digitally speaking, the remaining 5 years leading to the year 2020 will probably be more revolutionary than the previous 15-year journey from the year 2K. This means that media people, journalists like you and me, communicators, it means that 95% of the people watching us or reading us or listening to us in the next 2 to 3 years would be doing so using a movable device and no longer on TV screens like these, like the ones behind me, or using hard copy newspapers. Most of the people coming out of school today read their news on mobile devices. So it's not likely that any 22-year-old person will stop to pick up a copy of Thisday or The Punch, which is the reason why I think journalists and communicators have to take that step into the digital age and begin to communicate to a digital world. Undoubtedly, today's leading media owners continue to be the roadblocks to the full acceptance of these digital realities, choosing rather to allow foreign media interests to lead the way in our own climb. They agree that they are ready to embrace the inevitable change, but are still hesitant to embrace technology trendsetters, opting to choose the tried and tested platforms of the past. Journalism entered a new frontier nearly 10 years ago, but where are the investors and what is happening to them? Pioneers like the cable news and SabiNews are helping to chart a new course for journalism. They will, however, require substantial resources to truly command global attention. Investments like the combined 75 billion naira that has gone into Jumia and Konga alone, that's the twin towers of Nigerian online retail, will be needed to strengthen backbone, to build apps, to engage experienced journalists and photographers, and to increase coverage in the whole West African sub-region. As leaders in the media industry, deriving maximum value from the people that we manage and the people that work for us should go beyond them meeting deadlines or selling airtime. What should rather be happening today is strategic investment in people, making them relevant to the business now and well into the future. We need to expose them to new technologies. We need to expose them to innovation and new ways of engaging a generation of mobile-savvy customers. That should be our fundamental strategy. We must seek out technology partners. Our partners today in technology are Samsung and Etisalat. And I think every media enterprise should also seek out technology partners that can help to make their business work. Now, these partners will also help you develop a new mission field beyond Nigeria. We need to reach out to new catchments at a more global level. We all love the New York Times, The Economist, and the Huffington Post, but do they love our Thisday, our Guardian, and our Punch? Can the world easily access what we have to offer, and does it make any sense to them? Omnichannel media, cloud technology, and the rest of them are important pillars holding the media landscape of the future. perhaps it is time to start paying as much attention to them as we do our bottom line. A simple glance at any marketing budget nowadays is revealing that money is moving to the digital space and moving very fast too. It's 5 years to 2020. Will our businesses still be around and thriving by then? Ladies and gentlemen, I want to wish you successful and impactful deliberations today. We hope not to keep you for too long, and see you soon. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, please make it louder for my brother, my friend, Yomi Okwe. Thank you so much. Well, we're going to move on very swiftly. And earlier, Auntie Earl asked me if I was a man or a woman. And for me, for this event, I don't see gender, to be honest. Here, I feel at home. Here, I feel welcome. I feel like I'm in the company of great people because I see great journalists here today. I see media personalities, some of the nation's finest. And this is not about them being women. It's just a simple fact that in this building today, ladies and gentlemen, or rather ladies, we have some of the finest journalists in our nation. And I think we should put our hands together one more time. So when Yomi said, Sheon, come and do this, it was a no-brainer for me because I thought I need to come and learn, I need to come and listen to my senior colleagues and pick something. This woman that I'm about to bring on stage right now, I don't think I'm qualified to introduce because she is the epitome of courage and excellence. And she's someone who is a hero, we must say. Well, Christiana Anyanwu was born on the 28th of October in 1951 in Imbise, Imo State. And she is known as a journalist, as an ex-senator. She is a publisher as well as an author. She's famous for a number of reasons, but for the courage shown during imprisonment. Yes, she was imprisoned from 1995 to 1998 for treason after reporting on a failed coup against the government of Sani Abacha. And she won several international journalism prizes during her confinement, including the UNESCO Guillermo Cano World Press Freedom Prize. Now, believing that she could make more of an impact in politics than in journalism, she ran for office and was elected senator for the Imo East Owerri constituency in 2007. She obtained a bachelor's degree in journalism and a master's degree in mass communication from the University of Missouri and Florida State University, respectively. And after graduating, she returned to Nigeria and worked for the NTA and the Imo Broadcasting Corporation as a newsreader and reporter. In 1987, she was appointed Imo State Commissioner for Information, Youth, Sports, Culture, and Social Welfare under Imo Governor Amadi Ike. Okay, forgive me on that surname. Now, following her tenure as commissioner, Chris Anyanwu became publisher and editor-in-chief of TSM, the Sunday magazine, a weekly publication which focused on political issues as they affected the country. Ladies and gentlemen, she is here in person. She hasn't sent a representative, and it's an honor and absolute delight to have Senator Chris Anyanwu. Please welcome her with a resounding round of applause as she delivers her keynote address.
Good morning. I was just telling him I'm not Christiana, I'm Chris Anyanwu. Christiana belongs to the books, that's formality. The real name's Chris. Where's my sister Adesuwa? She ran away. It's an honor to be here. And looking at my sisters here, Ijeoma, Bimbo that I haven't seen for a long time, Ruth, and the ladies that I'm meeting today, and all of you out here, I feel very good. It was about 2 or 3 months ago that, Yomi, is it? The gentleman that just spoke. Yes, very, very sharp. very persistent and persevering. He wrote me telling me about this, and I told him that I would. I'm supposed to actually have run away like other people to go and get some rest, but he told me that he would do it here. So I'll fly in here, and from here I'll go. I had to come because it is for my profession. I will be meeting young people like I used to be, yes, in the profession. And also because I have had a very long relationship with some foreign women journalist organizations, and they have, contributed quite a lot in building confidence and rewarding excellence and the rest of it, and I have always wanted to associate with them. I thought that this is a great idea. I want to congratulate Adesuwa and Yomi for doing this. When I was a young journalist running up and down, driving around Lagos, beating the doors and the rest of it, doing what journalists do, we didn't have an organization like this. There was no rallying point for young female journalists. And all we had was work, work, work. If there was a network then, it was a male network, which is why the men seemed to get along and to make advances in the career more than us. We were operating in isolation, and isolation is not the best way to, for growth. With this now, I know that many of you will be able to exchange telephones. You will be able to talk to your elder sisters and leaders in the industry. People like Ijeoma here is the only female editor of a national daily. I want you two people to clap for this rare woman. I was going to ask the question today. I was going to ask the question in this hall today, in this country today, how many female editors of national dailies do we have? I didn't in fact know that she's an editor, and she's been an editor for some time now. And it's not an easy thing getting up there, because when you start going up there, you will meet that iron cast. It's not a glass ceiling, it's a slab. Yes. Yeah, gender profiling and the rest, because see, women are not supposed to do tough things. And being an editor is a very rugged, very muscular, maybe a thankless job. It's exhausting. And for her to have done it 1 year, 2 years, and 3 years, and going to 4 years, I dove my heart for her. The broadcasting sector has been more liberal, than the print media. The print media has tended to lag behind, be very conservative, and to sequester women in little areas, the women's pages, and all those places, beauty, entertainment, harmless places. But that is precisely the problem, because those places shut you in and you don't grow. You cannot compete in the industry if you find yourself, and if you resign yourself to those narrow areas. You must get into the mainstream media, which Ijeoma did, from covering economy and those important things. You build your way up there. So you will exchange telephones and contacts and be in touch with them and learn from them, and they will mentor you. And I think that is the most important and the most useful thing to a young journalist, having an event like this or an organization like this. Again, I thank Adesuwa and the young man who pioneered this. This is not what I was supposed to talk about, actually. I was supposed to talk about courage in journalism in the digital age. But I will talk about what I will talk about, because I'm just transiting from politics now back into the profession. And recently I've been stung by the very problem the very danger that we're talking about. And I'm going to delve into it because it's something that Nigeria needs to pay attention to and not something that is affecting journalism and something, as he said, that would define the future of journalism, the future of the media. In recent times, the world has witnessed exponential super startups driven by high technology and digital communications. And they are upstaging the giants, causing disruptions in the market. These disruptors, called unicorn companies, small operations deploying costly technology, few manpower, but creating a digital glut with humongous effect. These are the Jumias that he talked about. They are challenging traditional businesses, changing the workplace, the way we do business, draining older companies of revenue and causing them to lose jobs. With only 60 employees, WhatsApp services 500 million people, 500 million people. Facebook services 760 million people. Twitter, 200 million. LinkedIn, 120 million people. The social networks have transformed the styles, ways, and means by which we communicate in the world today. And in doing so, they have challenged old media to adjust to shifting times. They are causing great disruptions in the way the media sees news, gets its news, processes news, and presents news and transmits news. The social networks are creating what some have called a digital laissez-faire, causing a digital glut. Free commentary that is creating a blur of commentary, and now there is too much noise and not enough information. Social networks initially fed off the inadequacies of the old media incumbents. Old media incumbents did not create enough opportunity for people to engage publicly. They did not give people enough say-so. People were hungry to express their opinion, but freedom of expression in the traditional media was limited by airtime and paper space. The digital social networks have created what Pope Benedict has described as a new agora, on an open space, an open square in which people openly share ideas, information, express opinion unhindered, unscreened, and unlimited. In this new open square, people also forge new relationships, create their own digital community, and fight group causes. They pillory government, institutions, and individuals, institutions like the National Assembly, governments like the APC, individuals like Chris Anyanwu on the sexual offenses bill, to act on matters that affect their lives. The dialogue, the debate, they stridently argue until they arrive at solutions for public problems. They share knowledge and know-how among professionals, professional like minds, and they all, in the end, drive change. Pope Benedict advises that these open places, if applied wisely, could promote harmony in the human family. But he cautions that the debates must be conducted respectfully, with concern for privacy, sense of responsibility, and with truthfulness. And it must be real people and not virtual people arguing. In other words, the persons involved on the blogs and the social networks must be persons, authentic persons. Indeed, the pontiff was not speaking in isolation, for there are many negative applications of social media that we are beginning to witness in Nigeria today. Extreme pornographic pictures and video, photographic image distortions producing deceptive, frightening, horrible spectacles, extreme violence, blood and gore. Looking into Facebook sometimes seems to me like peeping into the pit of hell. Death, death everywhere. Fraud and crime, hacking into people's accounts and placing false information, stealing people's identities and using them to solicit favors or defraud unsuspecting victims. There are people who for the last 2 years have, and they are unrelenting, they have used my name to solicit fraud, funds from innocent to defraud people. They ask them, they tell them they are going to find them jobs. Maybe they don't know I'm no longer a senator. But even right now, they tell them, bring money, and I will get, I will give you jobs. And they will have telephone numbers that they will call. And sometimes people have texted me and said, did you ask people for this? People will call me from abroad. I said, no. And we'll report it to the Facebook. They will clear it. The next day, they will be back doing that. Yes. So these are some of the things we're seeing. And of course, the social media are now being used to blackmail other people, destroying people's image through unethical commentary, use of abusive, irresponsible, and sometimes violent language. Social media is also being used to drive ethnic supremacy, tribalism, and social divisions. The danger is that social networks are unregulated in Nigeria. The birds fly in the air, hover around. They don't pitch long enough to build a lasting home. So our address is rarely known, where they operate from is rarely known, and they don't pay taxes. Therefore, curtailing the huge destruction happening through the digital networks will take some serious work, and that is an agenda that I would like to see the current government take on. Social networks have not only changed the dynamics of communication and business, they are impacting the way people live. By opening up huge sources of data, they are empowering citizens with knowledge which should help them to do some critical thinking and make better decisions. But for them to get this positive impact, it can only happen if the information they are getting is true and reliable. And I want to say that much of the data on digital media are unfiltered, unprocessed. Not all information on digital networks is credible or originates from reliable sources. There is a frightening amount of false information and misinformation orchestrated through digital media, and because a majority of the users are what we may call media illiterates, because they lack the ability to verify the sources and the authenticity of the information they're getting, they believe everything they get as true. And they act on this false information without questioning it, and that affects them negatively. For example, the young people desperate for jobs that are always conned by people using the names of other people, that they have to be more sophisticated in their consumption. Presently, no laws protect people from fake information in the social networks. No law regulates behavior out there. With the speed of the digital media and the massive volume of information and the havoc being wreaked by false information and irresponsible communication, many are now looking to the traditional media to check out for the accuracy. They are depending on them for accuracy and dependable information. The old media has been hit by the speed and popularity of the social media. But what he has done is adjusted quickly by using social media as another tool to spread news, its news to wider readers. And so most newspapers, media houses, broadcast houses, even radios, have their own website where they further reach wider audiences. But what is interesting is that the discipline regulation of information, and careful filtering and processing of data before they are put out, which is a practice in the traditional media, has not been carried over to the digital sphere. On the social media, citizens are journalists. Journalists without understanding the 3 W's. Is that not the most fundamental thing? Who said what, when, and with what effect, isn't it? Citizen journalists don't care about this. They're journalists, yes. And they lack the ability to, in fact, establish veracity of stories that they are putting out. The painstaking verification process was dumped for fast news breaks and tweets. Everyone cooks up his own news tweets. Even the telephone companies are sending their own news tweets, Abi. You get them, MTN, Etisalat, everybody is in the news business. Whether the news is filtered is another thing. And everybody trends, as you people say. These days, even the most conventional media is forced to depend on social media as source of news. And the danger is that as mainstream media feeds off the social media, its traditional credibility and reliability for which it is known and valued is jeopardized. And this impacts negatively on public trust in the media. Social networks are wonderful, but they are also insecure, vulnerable, and full of false information, which has very high social consequences. I want to give you instances when tweets rocked the world. On April 24th, 2013, a tweet from Associated Press, AP of the United States, this tweet came from their Twitter account, and he said that there had been an attack on the White House and President Obama was wounded. And they published this. And within 2 minutes, this news was retweeted 6,000 times. American citizens were in great panic. The stock market crashed. The Dow Jones, fell by 143 points. But in the end, it turned out to be a hoax. You can imagine what happened, the anger, the fury, and the damage it may have caused. Some people may have had an accident and that kind of thing. And I know that the whole security service of America would have been on full alert. Again, also in the year 2013, in April 15, 2013, the Boston Marathon bombing resulted in a frenzy of rumors and speculations in which mainstream media, such as CNN, fed on social media, and then social media turned around to orchestrate the false information that the mainstream media, like CNN, were putting out. Consequently, there was a buildup of a huge scare and negative emotions in Boston and around. And this negatively drove the whole atmosphere and did a lot to distract the investigation. The AP Twitter hoax and the Boston Marathon experience both illustrate the dangers inherent in the nature of social media. Much as they try, they are vulnerable, insecure, and prone to hacking. And many accounts, as I have said, are accessed by smart criminals and fraudsters. False information inserted on them. In fact, it is said that the AP Twitter hoax may have been, done by terrorists. And terrorists have mastered the art of false tweets to drive negative public reactions and cause fatal results. So this is the challenge of journalism today. Journalists are challenged to be ahead of the fast-driving social media, but maintain the accuracy, depth, and reliability of traditional media. They are to draw from the massive data available on the digital sphere in speed and still filter and process them in the painstaking tradition of conventional media. They are to develop news filtering rubrics that will enable them identify false information, and that includes asking some vital questions like, who is the author of this tweet? Is the author someone you follow? Does he have verifiable expertise? Have you heard from him? Does he tweet often on the subject? Is it a retweet or is it an original one? What are the other news media sources reporting on the subject? These are some of the things that you have to run through before you actually, to help you really establish that a tweet or something off the social media is accurate. A professional journalist should not consume poison tweets without passing them through his filtering rubric. That is lazy journalism. And lazy journalism has terrible consequences on the credibility of mainstream media. We have to now wake up. As he says, in fact, with the fast changes happening in communication, with the whole communication sector, the traditional media is really hugely threatened. And so we have to wake up. We have to get back to applying some rigor on the job. Those of us who are beat reporters, for example, should not just take what our peers heard and replicate the errors. I was a petroleum correspondent, and covering petroleum, you were there in a beat with the journalists from other media houses. And the thing was, I noticed was that people hung together, and when news breaks and they say, what did he say, this and that, and the most vocal one will say, this is the news. And everybody will go, yeah, go, this is the news. Sometimes they don't come to work, or they are in the traffic or whatever. They call him, what happened today? He will tell them. And when you take that, you run the risk of, in fact, reporting things that are not factually sound. If he makes a mistake, you are going to replicate his mistake. And when you are caught, it will be indefensible because really you are not there. You did not hear it. You cannot stand and defend that. We should stop doing that. When I was in NTA, I bolted out. It took some courage, but I didn't want to have to hang out and report the same thing as other people. Be your authentic self. Go and cover the thing. Listen, ask questions, and report what you need to report. But don't just report what everybody reports because we're in a gang together. I don't think that is the intention of assigning people beats. So the point of this is that you have to check your news before you publish and be your authentic self. Apply some courage in this. Break our way into a different path. It may be lonely. You may be alone. It may not be the popular place to go. You may not be in the swing, swimming with the current. You may have to swim against the current, but in the end, that is the path to greatness. And that is what will save the traditional media. Accuracy, truth, is what stands the traditional media out. Truth is what sets apart a professional journalist from the blogstar or citizen journalist. In the cyclical bubbles and tectonic shifts that the human society will continue to experience, as Yemi has told you, due to the application of advanced technology to communication, the traditional media must hold on to its core essence, truth, verified facts. It is only in doing this that we will survive the great disruptions from this swift, unregulated, popularity-driven, mob-inhabiting sphere called social media. I thank you all.
Ladies and gentlemen, please, one more time, round of applause for Senator Chris Anyanwu. And who better fit to talk about courage, especially in this new digital age, and some of the fundamental principles of journalism, just reminding us and encouraging us to take the bold steps that are required. Well, without further ado, I'm going to call on my co-host, who would be introducing the next session. Okay, in our absence, I'll just go ahead with that. We have a session, and I believe we now have the program. Everyone has a copy of the program with them. If you look at the program, the first session is titled, or has the theme, Talking to a Digital Audience and Gaining Worldwide Influence. And this session will be moderated by a colleague, a woman journalist and radio presenter, someone who I admire and I've known for quite a while, a fantastic writer. Not a lot of people know that she's a writer, but my first encounter with Tosyn Bucknor was as a poet and a writer. She's also a singer. Not a lot of people know that. She's a woman of many talents and many parts. She'll be moderating this panel. We have our man Toni who will be on this panel. And there are very few of us men who are here today who are just like you. Even though we don't appear on the cover of Vanity Fair, and we haven't been photographed by Anne, what's that woman's name? Leibowitz, or what's that her name? Leibowitz. And even though we don't have wives and daughters who are reality TV stars, we are still very much like you guys. Trust us. All right, so we have Toni on this session. Unfortunately, Tolu Ogunlesi had to leave, so he would be replaced by someone else. And finally, my co-host is here, who is better prepared to introduce this session. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Auntie AO.
AO would do, actually. You know, the auntie part, you can drop it. Who wants to carry auntie?
Okay.
But I'm auntie to most of you. And this was why I was out. We've been waiting for this, hoping it will come. So it's here. There's a lot of Efizi, looks good. We actually have some adverts that haven't been paid for. Hopefully, when they see it, they will pay. But however, it looks good. You know, they say Efizi works, right? And listening to Senator Chris speak, some of us can't believe that Efizi is what you need. And there's a lot of Efizi on the World Wide Web. However, before we do that, I have pulled her all the way from Abuja for this. And Yomi had said, look, we must reward her for her courage. The very few women are bold enough. They think we are all restricted to lipstick and, you know. But you see the array of women journalists I have here today, you know that we are beyond lipstick. We love lipstick. We can't change that. We love our looks. We love to look good. But that's not what we are defined by. So we'd like to reward, give an award, like a little plaque, to show her that we love her and we appreciate what she's done. She suffered some health challenges after that arrest, but she's gone ahead to still be. What one of the bills, you guys heard now, one of the bills she sponsored is causing a lot of, you know, furore right now, and we'd like to reward her. Won't waste a lot of time doing that. And I would like to invite my friend who's also part of a big community right now that's called the W community. Because I'm inviting her because she's supposed to be coming next to tell us about W community, you know, one of our supporters here today, so that she can go back to her office. We have all our supporters here, FCMB, Stanbic IBTC, and if I forget you, don't, Samsung, Access Bank, no, that's Access Bank, my W community. So I'm going to invite Okwewemi Jones to please come up. She has 2 minutes to speak to us today about the W community. She wants the women to join the W community. But before that, I'd like her to do me a favor by presenting to Senator Chris Anyanwu a plaque on behalf of the WIJ. So, Senator, please, ma'am. Give her a round of applause. Sheung P. Okay, the plaque is, yes. Okay, he has it. Okay, Sheung is doing the, not with, our usher today is male. Clap for us, please. So he's going to hold the plaque and pass it on to Okwewemi Jones, who is going to pass it on to Senator. This way, please, right in the middle. So hold the microphone. Where's the microphone? Where's your microphone? I left it. This way. Just step into the end. That's right in the middle. I'm sure Senator Chris didn't know we're going to do this, but Auntie, And Senator Chris, I hope you forgive me for doing this to you. I know you don't like things like this, but I want you to proudly display this, whatever table that you have, that we adore you, we appreciate what you've done in the profession, and we like your courage, because that sexual violence bill caused another big wahala that you responded to like a true journalist by stating the facts and not the emotions about the bill. So, Sheon, please read what we have on the yes, Mrs. Okpewemi Jones, please.
Well, I think I should just say a few words. When you were talking, I noted a few things from what you said. And one of them is be your authentic self. You don't need to do what everybody is doing. Do something different. Be courageous. And I think the session started on a very impactful note, and I'm quite hopeful that the rest of the day is going to be impactful. So it's actually an honor for me to present this on behalf of women in journalism. I'm also passionate about women because that's my work. And interestingly, as I was listening to you two, I recall that when I was a young girl in secondary school, I wanted to read journalism. Absolutely. So I wanted to read mass comm, and my mom said, no, I should read accounting, because I had a cousin of mine that was living with us then who was doing very fantastically well in his accounting course. He actually made a first class in Ife. So she said I should go and read accounting. So she changed the direction.
Anyway, you're going to pay more next year for this.
So it's an honor to present this to you on behalf of Women in Journalism.
Yes.
2015. And like she said,
please read out what we have written on that plaque.
Okay, let me read it out.
Yes.
The Women in Journalism 2015 commemoration investiture presented to the distinguished Senator Chris Anyanwu in recognition of your ongoing commitment to journalism and dedicated service to humanity, given today, 2nd of July.
So take the microphone. Please, we have to do that photograph again. Sorry, the microphone spoiled it. Sorry, for the print media. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Senator Chris. I know she's going to sit through most of the session. She's traveling today. But a comment.
May I just thank you, because I truly appreciate this. I accept it on behalf of all those people who worked on the sexual offenses bill. We got a lot of, bouncing and beat up, for it. But in the end, it's going to save our people, to save the Nigerian family. Thank you so much for appreciating.
Okay, very briefly, I'll just tell you a bit about the W community. My name is Okpewemi Jones, and I work with Access Bank. Access Bank has a women program that we tag the W Initiative. And under the W Initiative, we have an